Okay, well, welcome to And So, Tell Me More, where we explore the stories of resilient leaders, those who continue to grow, adapt, and share their wisdom. And like a tree, standing strong throughout every season. I'm your host, Annette Lunn, founder of Enso Mindset and author of the upcoming book, And So a Tree Still Grows. And that is coming out in 2025. And this series is about leaders among us, the everyday leaders, the ones who may not always hold a title, but lead in the way that they show up, in the way that they navigate challenges, and in the wisdom that they pass on. And that I say is the fruit. And through the metaphor of the tree, we uncover what keeps us rooted and how we continue to grow, and what the fruits of wisdom that we share with others. So today, I'm so honored to be joined by Lidia. Lidia, welcome.
Thanks.
And why don't you give an introduction?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure, and I love everything that you're doing. So I'm just so thrilled to have this conversation with you today. I'm Lidia Piccolo, and I have more than 16 years experience in leadership roles in the public sector and in the broader public sector. As well, I'm a certified leadership coach and a personal development coach. And that's actually being part of the coaching community is where you and I met, which I'm so fortunate for.
That's so excellent. And Lidia, I believe that every leader has a tree, a unique story of growth and resilience and wisdom. And in all of our classes, you speak so eloquently and so beautifully. And so let's begin there and tell me about your tree. And what I'd like to start with is the seed. I have a little acorn here now. I ended up getting little seed, and your seed is your unique story. And what was that first seed of or the first root of curiosity that really took root?
I love that. Okay, so thank you for asking that. For me, ever since I was, a little kid, I absolutely love people. And I love observing and learning about people. It's like my favorite thing to do is to learn about other people. And I didn't really realize until, I started my career that that is a really important skill is observing and really, I call it like listening for what is said and what is not said through body language, through energy, through, just picking up on the nuances, patterns, how people behave, and how that helps you as a leader. That has helped me tremendously because for me, in any setting that I'm in, whether it's my professional life or personal life, I'm always picking up on the people, and I'm very people focused. And I believe that when you are people focused, especially when you're in a leadership role, you can do anything. It's really about how to work with people. It's about understanding how to motivate people, what people's special gifts are. And so this started for me very early on in the playground at school to make friends. Really, it was like I just wanted to make friends. And so to make friends, it was like, how do I find out what so-and-so likes, and asking questions and learning about people so that then you can meet people where they're at and even ask them, the other day you said you were feeling like this, like, how is that going for you? I just thought everybody did that, to be quite honest with you. I thought that was just a regular thing until I started to realize, being in the working environment, that not everybody does that. And so I would say my passion for people and my interest in helping people around me and just learning about people, started from a young age and has, I would say, has helped me really hone in on what is most important about leadership, which is the people around you. And I say that without a title, because I believe a title does not make a leader. I believe that you lead from where you're at, and you can lead in all different types of contexts and capacities. And it's really just bringing people along and finding out what problems exist and really listening, really listening. And I would say, so that coupled with my love for communication. So, when I was a kid, funny story, I was the kid that always sat beside the teacher's desk, right? Because I was always talking. Wow, years later, all of that talking has sort of served me in the sense that I've built a career around communications. I absolutely love communications and the art of speaking. But I find what I use my communication skills for is really explaining things in a way that people understand, and in a way that somebody can digest so that it sparks something within them. And that ties to leadership as well, because when you can tailor your speaking so that all walks of life can resonate with it, so that they can either make a change, they can take action, they can understand something that maybe they didn't understand before. That is really like the magic of connecting with people. And so they kind of, I see those two pillars, the passion for people and understanding and the active listening with the communications piece. If those were, as you say, like the seeds, those for me are like my DNA seeds.
Oh, that's so great. Yes. And I write about how the overlap, how the overlap is where that energy lies, and that curiosity really falls in there, in that overlap where you've discovered what energies, and what really fuels you. And every time that you speak in classes, I've had the fortunate to be peer coached by you as well, and you hold that space, and you have sparked that curiosity in me in many of our conversations just the same, which is so great. So that first seed of curiosity for you, and when we talk about the tree, is already very deep. You can hear that it was a calling that you had from very young, and allows you then, if that root of curiosity is so deep, that you're able to extend the branch of curiosity to other people to then be able to teach that. And when we talk about the metaphor of the tree, there's different aspects, and I actually want to put it to you. We have the nutrients that allowed it to grow, and the trunk with the rings, and where we're going to go. And I'm going to pause. And actually, if you want to go to the roots that took root, and those values that allowed you to build your resiliency, which one really resonates, and where do you want to go with that today?
Oh, I love that. Okay, so I grew up in an Italian immigrant family. So, my father came here from a young age to build a better life for our family. And I think for me, and just like many other immigrant families, the root that I saw growing up was very much about hard work and work ethic. And, I feel like I'm going to get emotional here, but like my father was one of those people that he would never call in sick for work. Like he would just work so hard. And I'm not saying that is something, if you're sick, please take a sick day. I'm not advocating for that. But it was that type of mentality that he wanted to, I think, set an example for everybody to, if you don't have to be the smartest person. And I never say I'm the smartest person, but I definitely work hard, and that work ethic, with my mom as well, and my father. My mom raised us. She was a homemaker for many years, and then later went back into the workforce. But that sacrifice of also pausing on her career, being a homemaker with 3 kids at home. I'm a middle child. So, to put family first and to really show us from both parents work ethic and drive and sacrifice. No one said they were doing that, but we observe as children. We see, and even as a leader, you lead by example. And so I think the root started for me it was watching my parents and the sacrifices that they've made in their lives to give myself and my siblings a better life. And also the fact that if you work hard, you can do anything. You can have a better life. You can help the people around you. And so I feel like that for me has really been the trunk, if you will, of who I am and how I'm able to navigate many difficult situations, because I believe that there's always a way, and where there's a will, there's a way. And also I'm somebody who doesn't give up. I want to genuinely, if the going left, going one direction doesn't work, I'll try another direction. I'll go around, I'll figure it out. And I'm always bringing that and channeling, I would say, that work ethic that I saw from a very young age.
Yeah. And what I observe is your tree is very strong already. Those roots of resilience are very deep. And you can often tell that by the way that people show up. And it is the trunk. That's the trunk. That's what shows up. That's what's standing strong for other people to learn. And you as a public speaker as well, seeing many of your talks, that is what shows up. And I can hear with you. I'm also a middle child. I think that middle children learn that observation from watching their other siblings, and it is a key way of how they learn. So that also resonates with me in there. And those deep roots that you have, the weather we talk about is what you observe in the situations, in the emotions, and the storms that come through. Is that something that you want to explore for talking about what are some of those storms that came through that really built your resiliency?
Okay, I love that. So I would say, not necessarily storms, but the different seasons and the different weathers. So I am somebody who I'm always very curious, and I always want to learn and grow. That is my direction in life. If I can take something on where I will become better for it, even if it's hard, I want to do it, because I know that even though it's hard, I will learn something new about myself, about others, and it'll help me just progress. And so I have always been someone who takes on positions, takes on opportunities, even I would say, before I'm 100% like fully ready for it. Of course, you have to have certain skills and credentials, what have you. But I'm a big believer that we're never, ever going to feel 100% fully ready to do anything. And if we had to wait for that moment, we would possibly miss out on some really impactful, beautiful experiences that will help you grow and develop and meet new people. And so throughout my career, I would say some of the best decisions I've ever made were ones where it was like before I was fully ready, and I would jump in. And again, that work ethic, part of sort of who I am, I would just do everything I could to figure out, when I'm there. So if I'm really excited about something and really eager, and just for anybody listening, if something that you're passionate about, that you really, have that inner belief, that inner knowing that you could do something and make a difference, I would say do it, jump in. And once you're there and you're committed, you will figure it out. You will, again, people are the best thing in terms of just working with those around you and asking questions and observing and listening for what you see and what you don't see. And when you have that and you genuinely want to do good, because intention matters. I really believe that. It's in my, again, the core of my values is when you have good intentions, people feel it. When you have good intentions, you can do something that's hard, but do it in the best way possible, where you're demonstrating grace and integrity, not just in yourself, but for others. You're extending that grace and integrity. And so when I'm in hard situations, when I'm in a challenging role, when I'm trying to solve a problem in any of the weather, different weathers and different seasons of my life, when I put my pillars that we talked about, the people first, when I do my best to communicate and also having a good intention, I feel like those three help you solve anything. They help me solve anything. And it can also, get you through really challenging times, and that builds resiliency. And I want to say also, because I know there's some misinformation about resiliency out there, and I'm really very passionate about resiliency. And it's this: resiliency is not about not feeling things and being numb to things that are hard. It's absolutely not that. You can very much be a resilient person and you feel all of the things that are hard. You feel sadness, you feel disappointment. You can be hard on yourself. But the difference is that once you feel those feelings, you go through it. So the best way to overcome something is go through, not go around. You go through it and you pick yourself up and you learn from what you just experienced, because I believe that everything happens for you and not to you. So even the hardest things that are sometimes unimaginable, in hindsight, sometimes if you look at it from a perspective of how did this happen for me, even if it's to, help a really important cause, or use your voice in a way that will shed light on something important to inspire others or to help somebody get through something. I believe that everything happens for us. And so I feel like once you get through it and you don't let those things stop you, you in fact grow this way. It's almost like you expand your roots. We're playing on your tree analogy.
Yeah.
You expand because you have to have a good foundation, a good soil. You have to have good expansion before you can go up. You can't just go up on a weak soil, right?
Mm-hmm.
A weak foundation. And many experiences in our life when I'll call it, leveling up, growth, you have to expand this way. And a lot of these challenges, the different weathers that you talk about, help you go this way so that you can eventually go this way.
Oh, that's so great. I'll put in a fun little fact. If you didn't know about the towering redwoods in California, that you would think because of their massive presence that they would have extremely deep roots. And they don't. They actually have fairly shallow roots, and their roots go wide.
Okay.
So very interesting to talk about that. And I love how you brought up emotions. Emotions are what make us human. And although we use the metaphor of a tree, there is a very profound need to understand what it is to be human. And you said it so beautifully there that emotions are indicators. And understanding your emotions is a skill, and a skill that needs to be learned so that you can go through it. And as you start to learn those skills, then you start to have strategies. Okay, anger showed up. Okay, well, how am I going to deal when my anger shows up? And very, very excellent to say not to avoid them, but they are indicators telling you that there is something there to be learned. And when you go through them is when you learn it and you can pick it apart and you can understand it. And then you turn that learning into wisdom.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. You are very wise and much the same. And I love how you talked about the roots going really wide, the richness in the soil, and that brings to the ecosystem, the nutrients that you give it and the ecosystem that it exists in. A tree doesn't stand alone. And so why don't you talk about some of those ecosystems or the nutrients that fuel growth?
Yeah, I love that. So for me, I've had such great fortune in working for and with amazing leaders. And I feel the ones that I've learned the most from, I, I kind of say it like this: they've really humanized leadership. And so, when I first started my career and I would see people in really senior positions with these ginormous titles, I thought they just had it all together. Like, they never made mistakes. They must just know how to do everything and, to be where they are. And as I started, progressing in my career and learning from a lot of people, I started to have I would say, the privilege of seeing things a little more up close, having access to leaders a little more intimately. And the leaders that I learned the most from were the ones that demonstrated vulnerability, the ones that, would say when they're having a hard time and would say, I have to deliver this speech and it's in front of, 500 people. I'm a little bit nervous. Can you rehearse with me? And let me know what you think. And if it's, if you think it's okay. Like I've been in situations like that, or I've been in situations where, people talk about, how they're uncomfortable with something or how they don't think they're as good at something. And these are accomplished, extremely intelligent, amazing leaders. And I would have to say, when a leader is vulnerable, it gives them more strength and power in such a beautiful human way. And also, I think for me, being a witness to a lot of that is it gives other people permission to not be perfect, because we know there's no such thing as perfection, even when you have a big title or you're leading, hundreds of thousands of people. And so I thought to myself, and I think that was a moment where I started to think, oh, I could be a leader too, because I don't have to be perfect. I actually can bring my uniqueness, and I could, I can ask for help, and I can, learn from others in a way that, I might not be good at this, but I can hire a person around me that can complement this skill, etc. And so I feel like a few things happened. One is those leaders for me built, and again, it was like this ecosystem of, you don't have to be perfect to be a leader. You have to have good intentions, of course, and a variety of other skills, but perfection is not one of them. And also, vulnerability is power, and it builds connection. So the thing is when I would work with people who were vulnerable, it made me just respect them so much more and just want to help them so much more. It was almost like if I could have a sigh of relief and be like, oh, they worry about this stuff too, or oh, okay, they feel like that too. I didn't know that. It makes you feel less alone, right? It makes you feel like, again, I'm going to go back to, it's like they humanize leadership. They make you feel like it's okay to feel the way that, is not perhaps how people from a distance perceive you to be, which is like to have it all together. And so I would say building an ecosystem where you let others be themselves, because that's when they shine. You give people permission by you showing up as a leader with who you really are, and your imperfections, and not pretending to have all the answers, like actually saying, for me, if I don't know something, I will say, I don't know that, but you know what, I know who knows that, or we'll find out and we'll do this, or let's work together and brainstorm. You give others permission to show up as they are. And it also helps to build, I would say, like a really safe space to learn. And when people feel safe and seen in a workplace, it's a really, I would say, magical culture that is built. Like the culture is everything, right? And when you build a culture where people feel seen and understood and they can be themselves, you know what the byproduct is? Excellent work. The byproduct is people gel together, they work well together, they're not afraid to ask questions, they're not afraid to think outside of the box and say, hey, I have this idea that I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to say it anyway. When you don't have a culture like that, some ideas never see the day of light or the light of day, because people are afraid. They're afraid that, someone's going to judge them for saying something that might not be what is accepted, or might not be how things are usually done. I love it when people have a different idea. I think that's fantastic. Let's see what we can do. Or, even if it's an idea that might not work, that's okay. That shows that people are thinking, that they want to contribute. And the best thing also about the ecosystem, I would say, is engagement. There's nothing better when people are genuinely engaged and they want to do a good job. Like, you can't ask for anything more than that when you are sharing information and you're bringing your whole self, and you're growing and learning, like tying it back to your trees, that you then have a healthy environment for growth and development and learning. And it's like passing that on so that more ecosystems, it's like there's this quote that, for going with your tree theme, sometimes it's planting the seeds for the shade that you will never see, right? I might have, apologies if I sort of said that wrong, but the point is, you're building a legacy and you're doing things now that will benefit others. And you may not know the people you're benefiting. You may not know who you're touching and who you might be impacting in a way where they will change in some way that will benefit their family, that will benefit the people around them. But you do the planting of the seeds, and you do the work today. For years from now, someone will get that shade, someone will get that better soil, someone will grow better fruit, and pass that along. And I just think that's so beautiful, that what we do today, and if you impact one person, it's a ripple effect. That one person can then go home and impact their family in a beautiful way, or share information that will help, their child grow up differently. And then, that kid will help another person, and it just goes on, right? And I think that's the point of us being here.
Yeah, no, you embody what I imagined and what I wrote for the Enzo mindset as a whole, of impermanence, imperfection, authenticity, and going to the tree doesn't need its own fruit. And you said it so perfectly. You plant the seeds for your future self to sit in the shade.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're 90, you can look around and be like, hey, all those were little seeds, and feeling proud that they do. And you want it to be this rich soil, because you're like, yes, take that and go do amazing things with that. So beautiful. So very beautiful. And a perfect segue for us to go into that legacy for you? What are your next journeys that you're embarking on? What is the fruit and the legacy that you hope to leave behind for next generation of leaders?
I love that. Thank you for asking that. I would say for me, again, it's the people focus. I genuinely want to make leadership, I would say, like accessible and, you know, uncovering the Wizard of Oz curtain, where people, it's not about titles. I believe anybody can be a leader, title or no title. And we can all help and impact each other. And I think in any setting, in my professional, personal life, through coaching, etc., I want to show up in all areas of my life where I am leading by example, where I am helping someone else see their greatness, their gifts, what they offer, uh, what's different about them. I want them to feel comfortable. I feel like when you make people feel comfortable around you and you see them and you understand and you make space for them, they shine. And so if I can do that in every room that I'm in, by, helping people see who they are in the different capacities that I work in, by giving people permission to be themselves through speaking, through coaching, through, being a leader. I think that the impact, the ripple effect of that is you get people who are really, they try their best and they actually even surprise themselves with what they can achieve. And I believe that leaders, our job is to create future leaders, right? So if you are building an ecosystem of leaders, again, title, no title, I'm talking about the core values of a leader, where you inspire those around you, where you help others, where you really model what it is to, I call it, and I've learned this from some amazing leaders that I've worked for, lifting while you climb. So the most beautiful thing you can do as a leader is, as you're sort of learning and growing, you bring people along with you. And when you're surrounded by people who are people you learn from, by people who have different skills and strengths than you, people who see things differently than you don't want people around you who are exactly like you. You want people who see things differently, who hear things differently, who have different perspectives, different upbringings, because I call it like looking at the whole Rubik's Cube, right? You want to see everything. That's when you make the best decisions. That's when you look behind all corners and you see and you're proactive about what's coming up next. You see different perspectives. You're, again, using that, we call it like that, that emotional intelligence, that intuition. You're opening up all senses so that you are helping to create the next generation of leaders, helping to create the next generation of people who are going to build amazing things, people who are going to solve problems that, might not have been solved before. And most importantly, you're giving people permission, because you're showing up that way. You're giving people permission to be themselves in all settings. They don't have to wear their work hat and then their human person hat when they're, they should be bringing their whole selves in any setting. And when you do that, you allow for their authenticity to shine. And you allow also for people to, I would say, really impact situations, other people, in a way that is genuine, and also in a way that has like their fingerprint on it. You can't do it like everybody else can. Everybody has their own fingerprint on how they do things. And when you have all these different fingerprints, you create something beautiful, because you're allowing the ecosystem to exist as it is, as it should. And you see the different sort of angles. And so I think for me, my legacy is through speaking, through leading, through coaching. I want to have an impact on people so that they can have an impact on people.
Yeah, and I hear that you create this harmony in all the environments that you have, which is so important in an ecosystem. The ENSO moment that I talk about is actually when you can find in yourself your inner drive, and that being your inside world, and finding when those two circles of your external world collide. And that's the harmony, that's the alignment, that's aligning your why with your external world. And it sounds like how you create these environments is just that, of knowing authentically what brings the real person there, and finding, and that's what creates synergy. And that synergy creates that harmony, where 1 + 1 = 5,000, and that massive impact that comes. And Lidia, your stories that you share of even your work and your impact that you're making, the beauty of the space that you hold for all of your coaching clients. And before I close off, I'm actually going to bring in, I talk about the Kensho flock, which is the wise owls in the tree. And the wise owls in the tree are your invisible advisory board that you create amongst yourself of greatest leaders that you've either worked directly with or that you admire. And can I ask you for 1 or 2 of those wise owls in your tree that you admire and that you like to look up to?
And it's people that are in your life, we're not talking about famous people hypothetically, are we?
Yes, it can be anyone. So just like Napoleon Hill talks about having this invisible advisory board, Jim Collins also talks about having the masterminds and this invisible advisory board. So they may be someone that you watch and aspire because they're doing such amazing, great things, that you read their content, read their books, follow them. In what ways?
Okay.
And you may be fortunate that one of these wise owls are directly in your life.
Yeah. So I have a couple. So for the people that you would know, one of my mentors for many years that I read all of her content, and I just feel like she does such good things in the world. I'm sure many people feel this way. Of course, many people feel this way. Oprah. I absolutely love Oprah, and I love, again, I think what it comes down to is her intention. And when people see you have a good intention, you can do anything. You can make magic happen. And so she's done that, her whole career. And again, her focus on people and humanity. I have, from watching her when I was a little girl to, over the years, I just love her integrity, I would say. And I think that stands out to me tremendously. And, people who you wouldn't know, I don't want to, make them feel uncomfortable, but I do have a couple of former bosses that I just learned so much from, and I continue to learn so much from them. And to this day, if I have a problem I'm facing, or I am in a crossroads, I will message them, and they always make time to help me, which I'm so grateful for. And I think part of why I admire them so much, it goes back to, they've given me permission to be myself. They are such strong individuals, and they're strong because they show vulnerability, because they make people feel safe, seen, heard. And they lead with integrity, and they lead with good intentions. And any place they've ever been at, they leave it better than when they came there. And so for me, I have a couple of those beautiful people that I can actually go to in my day-to-day life. And, if they're listening to this, you know who you are. And I just am so grateful for that, because we don't grow in solitude. We grow together. And, just going back to the ecosystem, when you can like stick out your hand and help someone and, help them be better, help them grow stronger than they would have had you not been there to help them. Like, that's a beautiful legacy, right? Like, that is when we're, 110 on our deathbeds one day, we're not going to think about the job titles. We're not going to think about, oh, I got this project done and I delivered it 10 days ahead of schedule. We are going to think about who are the lives that we touched. Who did we give shade for that, we're knowing now that they're having a much better life because we were in it? What room did we leave better than before we entered it? Who did we make, feel a certain way or see something about themselves that they never saw before? And now they're raising a family and they're going to make sure that their children or the people around them are confident, like that inner strength, that worthiness. Those are the things that we're going to remember. It's like, how many people did we help grow? And, how many people did we help? Like, who did we touch along the way? And I think that it's so important. You can do that in any role. You don't have to have a title again. And the people that I mentioned, which I think is so important, I would follow those people anywhere with or without a title. And that's how you know when you're a leader. When people will follow you and people will help you and people will gather around to support what you're doing, whether they have to without authority. Like, if they want to help you and they want to grow with you and they want to come with you and they want to support what you're doing and you don't have a title, oh man, that is leadership. That is what, when you have a title, that is still how you should operate. You bring people along, right? The title is just a formality, but never use your title to, I would say, don't abuse your title. Never use it to a point where somebody is just doing that because of your title or doing what you want them to do because of your title. Like, you should be inspiring and building relationships and building those bridges and helping people and bringing them along the way, with or without a title.
Yeah, no. So you speak so well, and so fortunate. I love that Oprah. I mean, who doesn't love Oprah? And how fortunate you are to have such amazing leaders and to bring you where you are and made who you are. And I and really like how you brought leadership as a way of being.
Mm-hmm.
And caring, and the 8 roots that I talk about frequently are the roots of vulnerability, self-awareness, courage, accountability, integrity, and those are so important and what have been observed amongst all the greatest leaders. And from that, they grow stronger, and the trees that they have, and your tree is so strong and so has its presence to be able to allow other people to grow within them. And so, Lidia, I really want to thank you for sharing your story, your tree, and your wisdom with us today. Your journey is such a powerful reminder that the growth never stops, that even in challenge, a tree still grows. And to everyone who's listening, if you've ever felt like your growth has stagnated, and know this, deep within you, there is wisdom waiting to be uncovered. And there is a leadership seed inside you waiting to get curious about it. And follow along for more conversations like this, where we explore the metaphor of the tree and what it means to grow and lead and live with resilience. And So as your sign off, Lidia, what is your one message and you want to leave to your audience?
I want to leave that when you show up authentically who you are and you have good intentions, you can build connections with anyone. You can, understand where people are coming from. You can make a really positive difference in people's lives. And, you don't have to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. I'll leave with this quote. It's one of my favorite quotes in the world by Maya Angelou. And, people will never remember what you did or what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. So any room you walk into, any Zoom call you jump on, any place you're at, always remember, how do you want people to feel when they're around you? And I think that when you genuinely put that at the forefront, what you'll achieve is, I think you'll even surpass your own expectations.
Oh, so great.
Thank
Thank
you
you so much for that, Lidia. And so I want to sign off until next time. And so a tree still grows. And thank you so much for today, and take care.
Thank
you. There we go.